Greetings, welcome to the latest of my deep dive videos. Today I'm going to explore the black new moon in the sign of Capricorn, which brings the cosmic curtain down on year 2024. It's at 9 degrees and 43 minutes, but it goes across the last 2 days of the year depending on where you live. I'll give you the exact timings for all the major cities of the world. A Capricorn new moon is interesting because the moon in Capricorn is debilitated. It's the weakest part of its journey. But also on this event, Saturn, the ruler of the sign of Capricorn, is involved in a right angle with Jupiter, the planet of expansion. So there is a serious theme to this year's particular lunation. I'm going to share with you the solar event chart, which we can all collectively relate to, but then on screen the natal event chart. That pictures the sun and the moon in the fourth house, which has a very Cancerian vibration. So that's a complexity I will unpick for you. It's a black moon because it's the second new moon of the month, the first on the first day of December in Sagittarius. This provides a backdrop for the next 4 weeks. If you're new to my channel, it's great to have your company. This is very much a community. People comment and share thoughts all the time. You're very welcome to as well. If you're a returning visitor, all your views and interactions are truly appreciated. I wish you all the best for year 2025. If you've yet to watch your deep dive video for each of the 12 signs, please see the link beneath this video. If you'd like to discover what the new year will hold for you personally, why not book a one-to-one with me? I am a consultant astrologer. Please check out my testimonials below. I don't edit these, I share them as is. You can order your forecast for the coming year. You'll get 12 full months from the time of your order, but you also get your free gift of your Zodiac written general love Chinese and Vedic forecast, and also 30% off and your life roadmap report, the most critical document anyone can ever read, totally unique to you, helps you to understand the patterns that are played out in your life so far. The forecast helps you to time your moves over the next year. Please see below for more. If you're a patron, thank you so much for all your support. You can download a factoid from Patreon about new moons. I'm then going to go through each of the 12 zodiac signs from Aries through to Pisces and give you a perspective of what to expect over the next 4 weeks in terms of the ascendant, sun or the moon. Some people ask, what should I watch? Well, if you know your natal chart really well and intimately, definitely the ascendant. But if you're really into astrology, you'll probably check out your sun as well, because the sun is the core of our being. So very much a valuable thing to do. And if you're really interested in the more emotional dimension, why not check out the moon? So this black new moon at 9 degrees and 43 minutes occurs across the 30th or the 31st of December. On the screen now, I'm sharing all the exact timings and dates for the major cities of the world. A new moon is when the sun and the moon coalesce, they're exactly aligned, a conjunction. This gives the sun some balance in a way. The sun in Capricorn is very serious. It's the 10th zodiac sign, its ruler is Saturn, very much to do with material achievement. It's the sign of physical culmination. And of course, we just had the winter solstice, which ushered in the last 13-week quarter or quadrant of the astrological year, which begins with the spring equinox. So this is a time for us to think back to what we set our sights and intentions on when we had the spring equinox. So if you are thinking about your New Year's resolutions for 2025, and you want to be really serious about the things that you feel very invested in, whether it's your business, your grandchildren, your hobby, your local support or voluntary work, whatever you feel is really important to you in terms of your ambitions and goals, that will be highlighted by this new moon. But the moon in the sign of Capricorn is technically detrimented because, let's think, the moon rules the sign of Cancer, and that's the opposite sign to Capricorn. So we have a chance to get that balance between the thrust of the sun and the feeling energy of the moon. But sometimes when we do pitch for some kind of big goal, or to try to make progress around an ambition, we can have a steely edge, and that is a kind of Capricornian energy. But I think it's also worth knowing and repeating that Capricorns have a terrific sense of humour, often starting life in a little more of a shy or serious way, but as time goes on, a much more playful vibe can come through. So even if we're doing something where we're going to apply ourselves in a very typically Capricorn way, so being very industrious, working in a very systematic way, being very committed, showing that self-discipline, which is very much about the ruler Saturn. It is important to understand that there can be moments of levity amongst the brevity. But a new moon can give us all a very, very single-minded approach, and in the sign of Capricorn, which in itself is a bit more serious, it's a bit more to do with traditionality, it can be to do with things like property, doing well in terms of that material sphere. It is important to make sure that we do let the energy of the moon come in, otherwise it could be crushed a little bit by all that endeavour. So however passionate we feel, also important to be in touch with how we feel about things. But if you are setting your sights on the new year and you've got particular things that you want to achieve, this is going to give you a lot of thrust and a lot of desire to set the stage and enter the new year in a very powerful and fast moving way. So on the screen now is the event chart from a solar perspective, and of course the sun and the moon are in house 10. But let's just be mindful of that position of Saturn. Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn, is continuing to square up with Jupiter. That will go on through to the second week of January within 3 degrees. Now, Jupiter in the third house in terms of the zodiac chart is how we express our ideas, and Saturn in Pisces can be more emotional. But if we think about it, the sign of Pisces is ruled by Jupiter. So there is a mutual receptivity, but it's actually a negative one. So if we are thinking about these goals and ambitions, we need to stay in touch with how we think about them, how we plan them, how we express our ideas to others, and also stay mindful of that more emotional dimension, which is what Saturn's asking us all to do whilst it makes its way through the sign of Pisces. We do also have Venus, the planet of money, and Capricorn takes those kind of things quite seriously. That's conflicted by Uranus. So there may be a situation which does give us an opportunity, but perhaps it could mean that we have to be very dedicated to the cause, and that might not quite work for a romantic relationship or any other type of alliance that's around us. Also, Mars and Pluto are coming into an exact opposition, which will peak on the 3rd of January. That's a very, very challenging aspect. And it does suggest, particularly with Mars in the prideful Leo and in retrograde, that even if we have great creativity around our ideas, the desire to achieve the goal is really amplified by Mars's opposition to Pluto, which could tempt us to take shortcuts or to override other people's rights in order to seize the prize. So that's something we also need to stay watchful about. On the screen now is the event chart from a natal perspective based on Greenwich, not because I'm in the UK, but because of the prime meridian. So based on universal time, it's at 10:26 p.m. The ascendant is 20 degrees and 22 in Virgo. Interestingly, the part of fortune is parked up on that ascendant. So if we show the precision that comes with Virgo, as well as the positivity that comes with the part of fortune, that's a good start. But you can see that the position of the sun and the moon are in the 4th house. And this is where natal astrology is so important, because it helps us to divine in a much more precise and deeper way exactly how an event is going to play out. So as much as we may want to achieve that golden prize, we need to make sure that it feels right. Otherwise we could end up winning, but actually it could feel a little empty. So very important to stay in touch with the power of the moon. So ordinarily this is the weakest new moon of the whole year, I'd say, because of the detrimented energy of the moon in Capricorn. But on this particular event, based on Placidus and Greenwich and universal, it's saying stay very much in touch with our feelings. And of course the 4th house can be about home, family and emotion. The 10th house can be about the physical structure in which we live. And I think a lot of people the world over are finding housing, accommodation somewhat of a challenge in terms of the cost. So that could be a theme as we go into this new year. But you can see that Jupiter's right at the top of the chart. And in the 9th house, that's interesting because that's a kind of Sagittarius energy, which of course Jupiter is the ruler of. But in the sign of Gemini, it can be about fast exchanges. And you can see that Jupiter squares up with Saturn in house 6. 6 and 9 creates a stress point between our obligations and responsibilities and our need for freedom, particularly with Jupiter in the mix. We also have Mercury down on the 4th house cusp in Sagittarius, like Jupiter, detrimented. So we have a series of detriments, don't we? We have Jupiter, Mercury and the moon all in weak locations. So we need to be mindful of that. And Saturn is hardly a bunch of laughs in Pisces, because Pisces is very much about affinity and Saturn likes structures. So Saturn's a little bit discombobulated in the sign of Pisces. So you can see the position of Jupiter back to Saturn, back to Mercury, and broadly back to the ascendant creates a grand mutable cross. And that means that whatever move we make has some kind of immediate impact. The other thing that I'd like to share is that if you have planets in any of the cardinal signs, so that's Aries, Cancer, Libra or Capricorn, between around about 6 or 7 degrees to about 13 degrees, you're going to feel this event in a more powerful way from an angular viewpoint. Now, of course, it depends on your particular birth chart how that will feel. If you don't know your birth chart and you would like to know your birth chart, you can see the link beneath this video and get your free natal chart with the big three. So that's the sun, the ascendant and the moon, and all the positions of your chart. You can see that below. That's a free gift from me. So that gives you the flavour. In terms of the event as an overall energy, new moons can be where we set our intentions, definitely around ambitions. It's a time to be serious and business-like in our approach, but the natal chart reveals we must stay in touch with our feelings, but also choose our words and do our research very cautiously. The precision of Virgo on the ascendant is encouraging us to make sure we don't ignore the details. And the passion that comes from Mars's opposition to the position of Pluto suggests that if we do cut across someone in order to get what we want, it could have some kind of reverberation that won't be necessarily good in a more personal context. Please stay with me as I go through each of the 12 zodiac signs. And remember, if you've yet to watch your year 2025 deep dive for each of the 12 signs, please see that below. So Aries, as you come to the end of 2024 and look to burst into the new year, I think it's particularly significant that your ruler is retrograde. And not only is it retrograde, it's in that very feisty opposition with Pluto. So whatever you do want to achieve in this new year, whether it's socially, romantically, in terms of your personal hopes, or in terms of how you're employed or a business idea you have, I think there's going to be a lot of desire there, but there could, to be honest, through to the 18th of April, because on the 6th of January, Mars inverts back into your 4th house, and it won't be until the 18th of April that Mars returns to Leo. I think you could go through a period of somewhat frustration, particularly if your emotional, family or home circumstances are in some ways inhibiting your desire to focus on something that is really important to you in terms of your ambitions. But that doesn't mean to say that things are impossible. It just means you need to know what the politics are around this event. And somehow or another, the past, Saturn, is informing what you want to achieve in terms of your ambitions. This is the first new moon in Capricorn since 2008 that doesn't have the mighty but tiny Pluto in residence. You've probably gone through some huge changes around your employment or connection to the world since that time, and this year you may be thinking afresh, and that's partly because Pluto has moved into Aquarius. Now, of course, Aquarius does share the depositor of the sign of Capricorn, which is Saturn, but Saturn is in a very delicate location in your chart. So I feel that if you want to make progress this year, particularly on the back of this early new moon, which will pour its energy into the start of 25, it's how you're collaborating with others is going to be key to the journey. And if you want it all on your own terms, Mars in Leo, in retrograde, that could create some obstacles. So it is about teamwork as much as those unique personal ambitions. If you've yet to watch your year 2025 deep dive forecast, please see the link beneath this video. You can also get your free gift of your written Zodiac General, Love, Chinese and Vedic forecast. If you buy your personal forecast for the year ahead, please see the link below. So Taurus, you know the old saying, a change is as good as a rest. And for you, this event is very much about being adventurous and pioneering. But you've had a lot of those energies since 2008 with Pluto, and then since 2019 with Uranus, pushing you to make some changes, to experience new cultures or travel or learn new skills. And perhaps now with Pluto having moved right to the top of your chart, and that's where Venus, your ruler, starts, well, ends this year and begins 2025. Somehow or another, the changes you may be thinking about could be to do with your work. Now, if work is not your central focus, perhaps because your circumstances are different, you could still be looking in some ways to take on more responsibility, perhaps through a voluntary role. It could be through supporting your younger children with their kids if you are older, but somehow or another you are going to gain greater recognition. So the more that you're open to flex and try different approaches or repurpose old skills and talents and experiences in a fresh way, the better you can surf this particular new moon. If you've yet to watch your year 2025 deep dive forecast, please see the link beneath this video. You can also get your free gift of your written Zodiac General, Love, Chinese and Vedic forecast. If you buy your personal forecast for the year ahead, please see the link below. So Gemini, you've experienced a huge amount of transformation in your life since 2008. The planet which has been triggering that, Pluto, has now relocated for the long term into your sister air sign of Aquarius, which is going to give you a huge platform to communicate some of the experiences and insights and wisdom that you gained over those years. Now, whether that's through some kind of new venture, publishing, which is very ninth house, travel, international connections, or it is more to do with your personal outlook. The intensity of the 8th house new moon is still very strong at the end of this year, but we just need to be mindful of your ruler, because that's in an opposition with Jupiter in your sign, the planet of fortune, but that is detrimented, it is retrograde, and the two are T-squared by Saturn in the part of your chart to do with ambition, responsibility, where you're going to connect with influential players. Now, if you're very, very invested in what you're doing and you're very clear frame by frame on how you're going to achieve whatever it is that you're excited to change, this can be a fabulous moment of opportunity. But because Mars is in your 3rd house, which is very redolent of the core archetype of Gemini, but in the opposition to Pluto, you could be feeling especially strident on this particular new moon. And if you are wanting something to change in a significant way, one of the worst things you can do, to be honest, is try too hard. So if there is something that you're feeling absolutely a burning conviction about, whether it's a relationship, a business idea, or how you want to work with your long-term resources in a canny way, try to pace yourself. Your bright ideas can definitely be amplified by Jupiter and Mercury's opposition, but you may have to deal with someone who could be quite a stickler and maybe quite demanding in how you actually organise your approach, and that's Saturn in the 10th house. But nonetheless, if you are someone who's developed a keen interest in anything to do with personal development, psychological profiling, understanding what makes people tick at a very deep level, this new moon definitely glows all that up. If you've yet to watch your year 2025 deep dive forecast, please see the link beneath this video. You can also get your free gift of your written Zodiac General, Love, Chinese and Vedic forecast. If you buy your personal forecast for the year ahead, please see the link below. So Cancer, for you, Jupiter's in your 12th house, which really brings out that flavour of Pisces, very much about that higher spiritual purpose. Whereas Mercury for you is in house 6, which is very much to do with the Virgo principle, the detail of things. Whereas Saturn is in house 9. House 9 is where we crave freedom. We don't really think of freedom with Saturn, do we? So since March 2023, if you have been feeling boxed in by certain situations that previous to that were actually something you truly enjoyed, particularly with Neptune moving through the 9th house since 2012, so that your reality may have been conditioned in quite a strong way. If you've been going through a contractual dispute, if you see things in a very different way to someone close to you philosophically, if there's anything to do with litigation or even divorce, dare I say, the details could be teased up by Saturn. And obviously at this time of year, it's not the best to be in any kind of conflict. There's also a part of you that is very tenacious and very resilient, which is a great quality of yours. But Jupiter may in some ways have made you more conscious that there are different approaches that you can take to dealing with life's stresses and strains. And therefore, in that sense, there could be someone that you're going to encounter, whether it's around now or whether it will be once Jupiter moves into your sign next year, but there could be someone around you who can be a provider of support and information in a really very helpful way. And that person could have a lot of wisdom and experience. Could be a life coach, could be someone with business knowledge. It could even be an emotional counselor. All of those things can be very valuable to you. But the key with Saturn in the 9th house is not being too proud to ask or feel you might need some kind of a support or assistance. If you've yet to watch your year 2025 deep dive forecast, please see the link beneath this video. You can also get your free gift of your written Zodiac General, Love, Chinese and Vedic forecast. If you buy your personal forecast for the year ahead, please see the link below. So Leo, this is a time of the year when many, if not all people, think about their New Year's resolutions, and often it is around things that we want to be more virtuous around. Lose a bit of weight, pack in smoking, do more exercise, eat in a better and healthier way, get to sleep earlier, leave a job which is unfulfilling, all those things. And for you, it's particularly apt on this new black moon because the sixth house that it evokes is very much about finding small changes that added together can actually have quite a significant impact on how we approach life. But the sixth house can also be about order, and if you're someone who's very adhered to creating order, but underneath the order there's something that you feel isn't right. So the perfectionism of the sixth house can work in different ways. Some people do have the most immaculate homes, but I think a great metaphor is what's going on in people's drawers. So if everything looks okay superficially, but the drawers are untidy, that's really interesting. But is it the drawers within yourself that need some sorting through? So if there is something that you could change and something you can be a little bit more virtuous about, this is a definite opportunity. Mars in your own sign in retrograde, however, in an opposition with Pluto, suggests there could be some politics around you at the moment. And particularly with this sixth house new moon, if you're the person who does too much domestically, the sixth house is very much to do with particularly the moon, the home. So if you're the person who's always hoovering, always tidying up, washing up, getting the groceries in, doing the cooking, this is a perfect time to get other people in your abode to pitch in and rebalance that amount of commitment, because if you relieve some of the pressure off you, that frees you up to do some things for you personally, which are going to be very good for your welfare. If you've yet to watch your year 2025 deep dive forecast, please see the link beneath this video. You can also get your free gift of your written Zodiac General, Love, Chinese and Vedic forecast. If you buy your personal forecast for the year ahead, please see the link below. So Virgo, this is a new moon in your fifth house, the best of the year in a way. The fifth house is very much about being demonstrative, affectionate, creative, can be about life's pleasures. If you want to see in the new year in style, you can certainly do so. It's possible that you'll choose not to because of the role of Mercury, your ruler, which is tied up in a more reflective part of your chart, the fourth house, and also Mars is in your 12th house, and that could be seeing some old stuff from your past coming up in quite a powerful way. If you work in an environment where you don't feel very supported or appreciated, you could even have a little bit of dread about what the return to work is going to bring. But what the fifth house can do is give you an enormous amount of creativity. So whether it's around your personal hobbies and interests or it is professionally, do set your intentions to enter the new year maximizing the rich array of talent that you have. And if you're wanting to have a closer and a fonder relationship with someone in a particular way, perhaps through a shared interest, perhaps it is romantically, this is a new moon that does hold promise. If you've yet to watch your year 2025 deep dive forecast, please see the link beneath this video. You can also get your free gift of your written Zodiac General, Love, Chinese and Vedic forecast. If you buy your personal forecast for the year ahead, please see the link below. So Libra, this new moon in the fourth house is very much to do with how you feel, your immediate environment, where you live. If any of those areas are not as you want at the moment, the new moon can give you the incentive to make some changes. And of course, your ruler Venus is in the very vibrant fifth house, which could be playful. If you are wanting to have people around and play host to see in the new year, that's a great connection. But of course, Venus is also squaring up to Uranus, which is in a deep part of your chart. If you're not feeling it around a romantic relationship, so in other words, perhaps you go out, perhaps there's a certain amount of attraction, there is the company, but you don't feel that there is that emotional simpatico, this new moon could, along with Venus' square with Uranus, see you thinking about whether this tie is for the long term. But if you're wanting to be absolutely purely social, the fact that Jupiter and Mercury are in a sparkling opposition, despite the fact that they are technically detrimented and Jupiter is in retrograde, suggests that there could be an opportunity to have some merriment despite the more peaceful, loving energies of the fourth house. What about Saturn? Well, Saturn's in the part of your chart that's to do with obligations and responsibilities. And if you are wanting not to have too much upon your shoulders to see in the new year, then don't be fearful of saying no. For some Libras, you may want to have a very, very peaceful start to the new year, and really you'll start to gain your energy in a very assertive way once Mars moves into Cancer on the 6th, even though it will be in retrograde, and your professional situation can be a big part of your thinking in the early part of the year, but particularly with the aim of being in a role that makes you feel safe, secure and appreciated. If you've yet to watch your year 2025 deep dive forecast, please see the link beneath this video. You can also get your free gift of your written Zodiac General, Love, Chinese and Vedic forecast. If you buy your personal forecast for the year ahead, please see the link below. So Scorpio, for you, Saturn's been in your fifth house the last couple of years. Saturn and the fifth house isn't usually a fun combination, even though the fifth house can be delightfully fun. If you have Jupiter in the fifth house, that's really going to be very effervescent. The fifth house can be about where we showcase our talent and charisma. It can be about life's pleasures, mixing and mingling, romance, our social interaction, the abilities and pursuits of our children if we have them. So those areas of where the opportunity's been the last 2 years, but Saturn of course takes no prisoners. It wants us to really dedicate ourselves. So with Jupiter and Mercury in the parts of your chart to do with money, this is not the best of times to be too free and easy with resources, because the fifth house is also about where we speculate and take risks. So steady Eddie when it comes to your money. You're often very canny about resources, but don't rush any decisions. If there is someone that you're finding to be absolutely mesmerizing at the moment romantically, I wouldn't spoil them too much with grand gestures. Let the relationship find its way at its own pace. If you've yet to watch your year 2025 deep dive forecast, please see the link beneath this video. You can also get your free gift of your written Zodiac General, Love, Chinese and Vedic forecast. If you buy your personal forecast for the year ahead, please see the link below. Sagittarius, this new moon is the second house. The second house can be a real appreciation of life's goodnesses. So whether it is those scrumptious spreads that people put on at this time of year, you're likely to enjoy those to the maximum. Of course, your ruler Jupiter is in retrograde, but it does start the year in your sector of relationships, but it is opposite Mercury in your sign. That actually can give you a degree of positivity. Of course, what divides them is the role of Saturn, which is pushing you to get in touch with your feelings, not be fearful of engaging with what makes you tick at a deeper level. Now, if you're someone who's very invested in personal development, perhaps you've got planets in Scorpio, or you're someone who uses the philosophical energies of Sagittarius to gain more and more information about understanding the interactions we all have, you'll be dealing with Saturn in Pisces in a much more receptive way. If, however, you're more typically a free spirit who's full of energy and with a great appetite to discover and explore, you're asked at the present time to take it back down to a foundational level, which could feel frustrating. Also, Mars, which of course is a ruler of one of the decans of your sign, the third decan, that's in retrograde on this event. So that part of you that normally is very freedom loving is conflicted by Pluto on the other side of the heavens, which could see someone expressing their opinion about what you want as forcefully as perhaps in the past you've expressed yours. So you may need to be ready for a frank exchange of views. But if you're wanting to work on increasing income in your situation early in year 2025, this new moon provides the help to go for it. If you've yet to watch your year 2025 deep dive forecast, please see the link beneath this video. You can also get your free gift of your written Zodiac General, Love, Chinese and Vedic forecast if you buy your personal forecast for the year ahead. Please see the link below. So Capricorn, a new moon in your own sign. It's a perfect opportunity to reset your personal identity. Now, I find that Capricorn people can often have a lovely way of dressing, very stylized, perhaps a little more traditional. Your colours can be a little more autonomous, but perhaps you're a goat who actually challenges all of that and can be much more radical. Perhaps you've got some Sagittarius washing around in your situation. But seriously, this is a great opportunity for you to be very single-minded, because your sign in some ways does ask you to conform to the set precedents, to continue with traditions, to adhere to what's well established. But the first house is about new beginnings, and you can use your tremendous drive, but also that innate self-discipline. If you're wanting to go into the new year trying something completely different, there's definite opportunity for you to make progress. What could be a little bit self-defeating is that Mercury continues in your 12th house, and that may have been affecting your confidence recently. Mercury in the 12th house can see us want to be more private, but it also can see us circulating thoughts in our minds, and in some ways finding it more difficult to express how we feel. And also Saturn, your ruler, is in quite a reserved part of your chart for everyday communications. Now, because of the square with Jupiter, in some ways Jupiter may be seeing you in the mood to be very enterprising, but it's how it comes across is something to be mindful of. So, but if you do want to give yourself a glamorous makeover, hit the sales and get some really nice gear, or you're wanting to reinvigorate an ongoing strand that's important to you with some fresh ideas, or you're wanting to start something completely fresh, this is an opportunity to go for it. But just be aware that the financial component of the situation with Mars retrograding in your 8th house of shared resources and Pluto in the 2nd house of everyday money suggests that you do need to have that tied down. So if you're needing to collaborate with someone who's not necessarily availing to what you want to do, that could create some complications for this fresh start or newly energized ongoing strand. If you've yet to watch your year 2025 deep dive forecast, please see the link beneath this video. You can also get your free gift of your written Zodiac General, Love, Chinese and Vedic forecast if you buy your personal forecast for the year ahead. Please see the link below. So Aquarius, for you, this new moon occurs in house 12. The 12th house is a very tender area. It can be where we need to withdraw, rest, recuperate. It can be where we're thinking very deeply about what's gone on in the previous year. I know that people can be very nostalgic at the turn of the years, and that's a natural thing for us all, but it could be heightened by the timing of this event in particular this year. And although Pluto has helped to shine a light deep into the darkness over these years since 2008, particularly around your psychological world and well-being, the fact that Pluto's in your sign this year is definitely to be welcomed. So perhaps you can receive the energy of this new moon better than you have since 2008. I'm certainly feeling that way. I feel that all those lessons, there's a lot of experience there. And if we do feel a little more like some solitude or some tranquility or to tune out, why not? We don't necessarily have to join in. If you are someone who's very bubbly and friendly, the fact that Jupiter and Mercury are in an opposition and Mars is on your 7th house cusp suggests you will get out and have some fun. But I would just be mindful that 12th house new moons are not the best of times perhaps to indulge a little too much. But if you are wanting to be more interactive, just be conscious also that your traditional ruler Saturn is influencing what you consume in terms of the food and drink, but also the cost. So if you're going to have a quite an extravagant New Year's Eve, just be aware of the financial side of it. But also, of course, your modern ruler Uranus is squaring up to Venus. Venus in your own sign, encouraging you to embrace all that makes you individual and different. So I feel it is possible that for some Aquarius people, despite the sociable interactions of other players on this event, will be completely relaxed and happy, having a quiet night to see in the new year. But you're going to gain momentum pretty early in 2025, and believe me, by the end of the month it's one of the most sensational times for Aquarius people for a very long time, so there's a lot to look forward to. If you've yet to watch your year 2025 deep dive forecast, please see the link beneath this video. You can also get your free gift of your written Zodiac General, Love, Chinese and Vedic forecast. If you buy your personal forecast for the year ahead, please see the link below. So Pisces, this new moon is in the gorgeous 11th house, which is very interactive. It's to do with friendships, networks, but also it's to do with thinking about our long-term hopes. It can be about the plan itself. And because you do have Saturn in your first house, which has perhaps been a more limited influence over the last couple of years, that also is in a square with Jupiter in the part of your chart to do with your more emotional world, and there in turn linked to Mercury at the top of your chart. You could be thinking about the home situation, you could be thinking about your work when it comes to that long-term plan. But this in its own right, the new moon in the 11th house, could be social. It just depends on your unique circumstances. But because Venus and Pluto are in the 12th house and Venus is in a right angle to Uranus, if you decide that you're quite happy to have some kind of connection to someone as the year comes to an end and 25 starts, but also your own company is fine, then so be it, because you've got a lot to think about and a lot to plan. And particularly because there is an eclipse series that's going to be particularly active in your sign this year. You've also got Jupiter moving into a glorious 5th house, and that's on the 9th of June, where your ruler Jupiter is exalted. So that's terrific. That's much more playful and outgoing. So that's lovely stuff to look forward to. But making that long-term plan can be a big part of this new moon for you, and also celebrating the connections that are truly meaningful in your world. It's been a real pleasure being with you, sharing this Black Moon Deep Dive special. Wishing you a very happy new year. All the best for 2025. Please do check out your deep dive video underneath this one. And if you'd like to get that free natal chart of your big three, the Ascendant, Sun and the Moon, please see the link below for more.